Have you ever been sitting in a plane, cruising miles above the clouds, and just had that moment of, wait, how is this giant metal tube actually staying up here? Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. So let's get into it, because the answer is honestly way cooler and more elegant than you might think.
Okay, let's start with a little experiment you've probably already done. Just picture it. You're in a car, windows down, and you stick your hand out into the wind. What happens? You feel that push, right? That very real, physical force of the air against your palm. Well, that feeling, that's the very first step to understanding how an airplane flies. You know, flight instructors actually use this exact example. As the car gets faster, if you tilt your hand up just a little bit, you'll feel it get pushed upwards, like it wants to fly away. That little tilt, that's what pilots call the angle of attack. In that moment, your hand has literally become a wing.
So that feeling of lift on your hand, that's just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. See, flying isn't just one thing. It's this constant, delicate dance between four fundamental forces that are always battling it out in the sky.
And what are they? Well, they are weight, lift, drag, and thrust. For a plane to fly straight and level, these four have to be in perfect balance. Think of it like a cosmic tug of war. Let's break down what each one actually does.
First up, the most obvious one, weight. It's pretty simple, right? It's gravity. It's the force that's constantly pulling everything, the airplane, the fuel, the cargo, your carry-on, straight down toward the ground. This is the big one we have to overcome.
So to get moving, you need thrust. This is that awesome, powerful forward push you feel during takeoff. It's generated by the engines, whether they're spinning propellers or blasting out jet wash, and their whole job is to shove the plane forward through the air.
But the second the plane starts moving forward, bam, it runs into the opposing force of drag. This is just air resistance. If you've ever tried to run through a swimming pool, you know exactly what drag feels like. It's the air pushing back, fighting the plane's motion every step of the way.
And finally, we get to the star of the show, lift. This is the magic upward force that fights against weight and keeps that massive plane from falling out of the sky. But how? How is this invisible force even created? Well, the secret isn't in the engines, it's in the beautiful, specific shape of the wing.
Okay, so how in the world does a pair of wings generate enough lift to hoist hundreds of tons of metal, people, and luggage into the air? It's all about a clever trick of physics that comes down to one very special shape.
If you could take a slice right out of an airplane wing and look at it from the side, you'd see this shape. It's called an airfoil. And notice the key difference. The top surface is curved, while the bottom is relatively flat. This design, right here, is the whole secret.
So here's how it works. As the wing slices forward, the air splits to go over and under it. Because the top is curved, the air going over the top has to travel a longer distance to meet up with the air from the bottom. To do that, it has to move faster. And here's the key principle in physics. Faster moving air creates lower pressure. So you end up with low pressure on top of the wing and higher pressure underneath. And what does high pressure do? It pushes up. And that, my friends, is lift.
So that's how we get off the ground. But to stay in the air and go fast, thrust has to constantly battle drag. And the faster you go, the angrier drag gets. So what happens when you build engines so powerful they can push an aircraft to its absolute limits, all the way to the speed of sound?
Breaking the sound barrier. We've all heard it, right? It sounds so dramatic, like crashing through a glass wall in the sky. In reality, it's about going so fast that you actually outrun your own sound waves. But here's the twist. The finish line keeps moving.
So here's the crazy part. The speed of sound, it's not one single number. Unlike the speed of light, which is a universal constant, the speed of sound changes depending on the air it's in. And the biggest factor is temperature. In colder air, sound actually moves slower. I mean, just look at this. Down at sea level on a nice day, the sound barrier is at 661 knots. But way up at 40,000 feet, where it's a freezing minus 55 degrees Celsius, that speed drops all the way down to 574 knots. This means a pilot can break the sound barrier at high altitude while actually flying slower than they would need to at sea level.
To make all this easier, pilots and engineers came up with something called the Mach number. Mach 1 isn't a specific speed. It's just a way of saying you're traveling at 100% of the local speed of sound, wherever you happen to be. So whether that's 661 knots low down or 574 knots way up high, Mach 1 is Mach 1. So at the end of the day, whether you're talking about a tiny propeller plane or a supersonic jet, it all comes back to this. Flight is a masterful manipulation of air. It's that constant, beautiful dance between weight, thrust, drag, and the incredible lift generated by that simple, elegant curve of a wing. So really, the next time you're on a flight, take a second and look out the window at that wing. You're not just looking at a piece of metal anymore. You're watching a finely tuned instrument slicing through the sky, creating a secret pocket of high pressure beneath it, and literally lifting you towards the sun. It's pure physics turned into poetry.